let's talk about it.
Hello and welcome back to Thicc Radio, the award-winning podcast where we talk about gaining, fetishism, and everything plus size. I'm James.
And I'm Tim, so let's get into it. Today we're welcoming to the show your current reigning Mr. Bear Europe 2025, Alex.
Hey. Hello, how are you?
Doing good. How about you?
Good.
Good, I'm doing good here, baby. It is so good to see you. Representing Mr. Bear Europe in the hat. We've always got a bit of merch, bit of promo. Love it. Listen, babe, I was so keen to get you on the blower. And listen, full disclosure, Tim and I were talking about approaching you for something last year when you were our Mr. Lisbon Bear Pride. 2024 is the full name. And I was like, oh, we need to get our good friend on. It'll be fun. And then you went ahead and became Mr. Bear Europe. And I was like, well, now we got to chat about it all. So listen, baby, are you ready to get into the conversation today?
Yes, I am.
Oh, wonderful. Well, listen, I think a very simple starting point for anyone who maybe isn't aware of you, hasn't come across you before. What do you want our listeners to know about you?
So, I am Alex. I'm from Spain, but representing Lisbon, Bear Pride, because I'm half from Spain, half from Portugal. My family from both places. I grew up near the border, so that way it was easier to learn both languages. And yeah, that's why I have a deep connection with Portugal and why I wanted to represent Lisbon Bear Pride. I don't like too much the word represent because how will I say it? It's usually something like too many people to represent as myself. Like I can't do that. That's a massive job for anyone. But at least I try to let everyone know about Lisbon and now about a lot of European events wherever I go.
And as a fellow Pokemon fan, I suppose you could say you hail from the United Paldea region, possibly from around about Porto Marinada. Would that be about right?
That's a bit southern from where I live, but
A little bit south.
yeah, that will be in Portugal, Aveiro.
Okay.
It's famous for those colored houses that you see in the game.
Oh, yes. Gorgeous. Well, listen, someone representing both Spain and Portugal as our, Mr. Lisbon Bear Pride. Tell us a little bit about that, because I feel like, Spain and Portugal, I think for people who are maybe more European-based, can have a greater sense of like, those are two very distinct entities. Whereas perhaps for some of our listeners from around the world, they might sort of look at those two, they're neighbors. They might look at that and think, kind of one and the other. What would you say is maybe like the major differences between the two for anyone who's not so well aware of it?
Language. That was easy. Nowadays, language is culture. There's a lot of difference between Portugal and Spain, except if you go to Galicia, where we have many things in common from both places. But yeah, apart from the language, I will say the food. We have very distinctive food from both places. I guess that will be interesting for you. And music-wise, I think that the Portuguese music also has like very distinctive things compared with Spain. But yeah, in general, we also have like a lot in common. I think that the way we see life, especially compared with the UK, that's the feeling I get. We are way more relaxed about life and at the same time a lot more passionate about the things we like.
And I feel like we're going to get the chance to delve into some of those passions here in the episode today. But, here at the top of the chat, we've got to bring it up. We are a podcast primarily focused, although, of course, not exclusively on gaining and fetishism. So let's put it to you. What is your experience and or thoughts on gaining and fetishism?
I have many friends, actually, into that are gainers themselves. It's something I find fine. I like the looks, I have to say. It's always that thing that you worry about health, but I think it can be done in a healthy way. The problem I always see is that the healthcare always, how will I say, takes a very superficial approach about it. Like, and you don't even need to be a gainer for that. Like, the moment they see someone that is slightly fatter, it's like, okay, the issue is that you're fat, so just get rid of that first, then we will check the rest. So I guess that's why it could become dangerous, because you could be at that size and still be healthy, but you are not getting the healthcare you need for that. So that's my biggest worry regarding that. Apart from that, like, if it's something that makes you happy, I'm happy seeing people happy. So
No, absolutely. Listen, joy is of course central to the mission statement. Why are we doing what we're doing? Because we like it. Very
mhm.
very core to what we do. And it's interesting that point on health. And I think sometimes with the pod we do highlight to people sometimes the conversations we have as gainers around subjects like health are one to one with conversations people are having in broader bare spaces. There are presumptions that people make about health when they see people of a larger size, and oftentimes a lot of those conversations around how do we look to sustaining larger bodies and taking care of larger bodies oftentimes comes down to sometimes the political nature that people have imbued into the fat phobic ideas of bodies, right? So I think it's something that certainly the bear community, women as BBWs, larger, wider, broader, plus size folks in gamers all come together on. We need a little bit more good conversation maybe around health and how we can look after one another. But speaking of, I'd like to take it back. You are from Vigo, Spain, in Galicia. I would like to ask, what was your relationship like with your body growing up?
Well, I have always been a bit of a furball. It wasn't always easy because, yeah, I was the shortest of my class. Not the biggest because, yeah, I was short, but I was always like heavy. And in high school, I already got quite hairy as well. So it was a nice combination to basically be a magnet for bullies and all that. That didn't mean I dislike my look. It was just the feeling that people didn't like it and that people were targeting me because of it. That was the annoying part. It was like I felt the society was trying to tell me that my body was wrong and I was feeling perfectly comfortable in it. So uh, that was the annoying part. It's like, it's not me, it's you guys. But yeah, basically that's it. I was happy with my body since I was a kid. At high school, I kind of, when your body changes and all that, I got a bit thinner, especially because I was playing a bit of football and all that. When I moved to London, I also lost a lot of weight because it was tough times, not much money when I moved here. And I did go to 70 kilos, I think. So the audience can make an idea. I'm 170, 1 meter 70 centimeters. I think that's like 5 feet 6, if I'm not mistaken. And I usually weigh around 100 kilos. So you can get more or less the idea. And when I moved to London, I went down to 70. And I basically didn't feel myself. Like, I could see in the mirror my face, you could see the cheekbones clearly and all that. It was like, this is not me. Like, I do feel more comfortable when I'm a bit rounder, let's say. I think I already got a bit further away than my younger years, but yeah, basically that's the idea. I felt comfortable in my body back then. I feel comfortable in my body right now.
So,
Yeah.
you say that you've relocated now to London, and it was almost a decade ago that you moved. How is your relationship with Vigo and Portugal since moving away?
I'm closer to Portugal actually because my partner is from there. His mom still lives in Lisbon, so we go there quite often. I go less to Galicia. Yeah, my mother's not that happy with it, but it just didn't happen. I brought them here a couple of times to see London and all that. I think that's more exciting for them than me going back. But yeah, it's two places that I have in my heart constantly. I even have a tattoo of my city, my hometown. So yeah, I have them present all the time, and I do miss food from there because in Galicia we have a lot of nice seafood in particular.
Mm.
So yeah, it's something I miss a bit. Oh well.
I can relate to that. Most Australians live on the coast, and so the concept of seafood that isn't fresh for is something very foreign to me. For I'm very accustomed to like it's same day catch. So I love the food, but just the fresh seafood is wonderful. Listeners, if you have the chance to go and experience it, I would encourage you. The food is great. It's really
Hmm.
good. So, digging a little bit more for yourself, something that some people may or may not know about you. You are someone who is polyamorous, but you are also demisexual. And, I think we've had the privilege of speaking to some different sexually identifying people here on the pod, but I'd love to know, like, how did you come to discover these identities for yourself?
Well, the polyamory was when I started with my partner, my current partner, 11 years ago, when I moved to London. He was already in a poly relationship, and I just joined the relationship, and I felt very comfortable with it, and it just made sense. It just felt right. So yeah, right now we are not in a poly anymore, but we still do have that mentality, and we are open to meet anyone. You never know. Regarding demisexuality, that's something I was going to say more recent. Not the feeling of it, the finding a label for it. I know there's a lot of people that say that it's wrong to put labels to things, but it kind of helps
That's what
because.
I've always said. There was a time in like the early aughts where a lot of the gay men in my community were like, I don't want a label on me. Don't put a label on me. I'm gay, but that's only one part of my personality, so don't put a label on me. And I kept thinking, how else do we orient ourselves to the world if we don't know what something is? Like,
Mhm.
and you could have dozens of labels on you. They could all be self-proclaimed. Who the hell cares? Call yourself whatever the heck you want. I never understood the no labels thing.
It really helps to, how will I say, not finding your place, but see that things fit somewhere. It's like, for example, my partner a couple of years ago diagnosed ADHD. I hate the diagnose because it sounds like a disease, and no, it's just he's wired in a different way. And the moment you get like that label, it's like, okay, now a lot of things click. I understand why this works this way and that why this works this other way. And I think that with the demisexuality is the same. Like it's something that has been there for ages. But once you find that label, it's like, okay, it makes sense. And there's a lot of people that actually are feeling the same. So it just makes it easier to define, let's say. So don't see the problem with the label itself.
No,
Uh,
absolutely. My partner had something similar with his own experience. We're a poly-open group ourselves, and with my partner, it's something that he was expressing was a sense of, in relationships, something he always struggled with was over time the desire would wane, and it was something that he didn't beat himself up for too terribly much. He was just like, this just must be what everyone else is experiencing, because people say, oh, well, over time the sex goes, right around. And at one point I was like, maybe you're phrasexual, which for anyone who does not know is often termed as a bit of an opposite of demisexual. With demisexuality, you need to develop an emotional connection before sexual desire comes. But in the case of phrasexual, as you develop an emotional connection, sexual desire lessens. And having a label meant that he could then go, oh, I don't need to judge myself for this. I don't need to internalize that like I'm a bad person for, I love you, but I'm not finding you as attractive. No, maybe that's just how you wired.
Oh,
That's
so
just how
that's
it
what that
goes.
is.
Yes.
I never knew that had a name. Well, see, I
Yes.
learned something today.
mhm.
There you go, right here on the pod. And it's
Exactly.
like maybe for some people they go, "Oh, that's a whatever thing." But baby, that's the privilege of you feeling secure in the fact that your identity and experience is one singular thing. A lot of people contain the multitudes, We talk about this as gayness. We're not just homosexual people, we are this way inclined, and some of us enjoy the BDSM elements, and some people are also demisexual, and some people are gender variant, Like many people have multiple identities, and by having language that helps you to express that sense of yourself, it helps, if for no one else but ourselves. So bless you for finding the words that work for you. And, I think a sensible follow up here is the fact that a lot of people do pushback on these kinds of terms and labels. They love to make inferences about people who are poly being, fucking cheaters waiting to happen, or people who are
Mhm.
demisexual just being prudes and being different, and all this other kind of shit. And I would like to ask you, when it comes to helping people understand these parts of who you are, what has been the most important element in helping people to understand it better?
Hmm. Regarding the bisexuality, I think that if they are not open to the idea, they can't understand it. Like it doesn't matter how much you try. Like I had a lot of conversations on Growler and other apps that is like, oh no, if you're not here for an immediate fuck, why are you here? It's like, well, I'm not saying directly no. It's just that can we have a coffee first and talk a bit and all that, but it doesn't compute for them. And you know, I understand them. They have that mentality. It's fine. I respect that, but just understand that other people work in a different way. And I also need my space there to meet people. It's not just black or white. I don't know. You can't make people understand something they don't want to understand.
Boy, howdy. I've been trying to do that my whole damn life.
Mhm.
You're a Spanish editor for Pokemon. Is it challenging to balance your love for Pokemon with the needs and expectations of your role?
Oh, yes. Yes, it is. The thing is, imagine that you are a Pokemon fan and you have an internal view of how things work. And as a fan, you want the game to be better, to be more than what it is, but you can't influence that. You can only see that it's not going the right way. And we put on our part, on the localization part, all our heart and everything we can. You mentioned before, Paldea, I can swear to you, the Spanish team put all their love in the localization of that game in particular, and it sounds like the most Spanish, beautiful thing you can. I really, if you understand the Spanish, any of the listeners now, if you understand the Spanish, you have to try that game in Spanish. I swear to you, it's like the best Spanish experience you're gonna get. It's really fun. It has a lot of very typical Spanish things, so if you don't know a bit of the culture, maybe it will be a bit complicated. My partner tried to play it in Spanish and was like, "Wow, this is too Spanish for me," and he knows Spanish, but it's really worth it. It's really worth it. I wanted to say that a lot of people think that the games are not where they should be. I swear to you, everyone I see involved in the games tries to do their best. I know it's not enough, but well, that's the situation where we are right now.
Hey, listen, I'm a major lifelong Pokemon fan, and I think sometimes it could be easy to get caught up in the I feel about this the way that I feel. I'm Australian. You better believe your bottom dollar that the moment Pokemon come out and say we have an Australia region planned, I will be there with my, microscope ready to look and observe at every reference. But also, it is a collaborative effort with countless individuals. I can imagine your Spanish team, it's not just changing the words to be so, it's all of the references, it's all of the moments. I can imagine that that is so much hard work. And I am gonna hold back asking 50 million questions as such a Pokemon fan. So I'ma simply put it to you. What's your favorite Pokemon?
Is Growlithe, not Arcanine. Everybody's like, but shouldn't it be Arcanine? No, Growlithe. I love the small one.
Cantonian or
Oh,
Hisui Growlithe?
hmm. I like the original, but at work we can choose our own Pokemon to have like in the desk as our avatar, and I do have the Hisuian one.
Ah, very nice, very nice. Uh, Tim is not a Pokemon fan. So Tim, in that case, name a Pokemon that you know
That
of.
I know of, Squirtle.
Good choice.
There you go, that works.
That's my
Well,
favorite starter.
I was born in 1983. My Pokemon was Monster in my pocket, okay?
For me, my favorites, it is such a tie, but truly, Togepi, Cyndaquil, and Alolan Vulpix are all like my trio of babies. I love them so much. Oh my goodness. You've also written some articles for Bear World magazine. What inspired you to write with them?
Oh, that was a chain of events, let's say. The previous Mr. Lisbon Bear Pride wrote a few articles for them. And after I went to Reykjavik Bear last year, I wanted to do something for the volunteers that do that event because it's really complicated to make that event. It takes a lot of work for them. And for what I heard, they were a bit down and all that. Wonder if it's worth all that effort. And I wanted to write something to give the point of view of a guest there so they could see how we appreciate it. And I reached the magazine to write that article. And after that, well, it happened that a month after, something like that, I went to Poland, and they also had an event that they put a lot of effort in. And I was like, well, you know what? These guys also deserve a bit of a shout out and all that. And I wrote that article. And next, that way I ended up writing a couple of them because I thought like people needed like some recognition for their efforts. The problem is that at some point I was going to so many events like weekend after weekend that I didn't have time to write because I don't consider myself a great writer. One thing is working in localization where the text is already there and you just have to give it a local flavor. Another thing is writing from scratch. It takes me a long time. So when the events started piling up, I had to stop and all that. I hope this year I may have the chance to write a couple more. Let's see. But yeah, it was good. I'd like to have the chance to give thanks somehow to the people that was volunteers, most of them, that put the effort in doing their events.
So I'd like to ask, as you came into your queerness, was the bear identity something that you always identified with, or was it something that had to kind of evolve over time? Because like I feel like that's kind of what happened to me. I started as a twink, and now I'm kind of transitioning into like daddy bear because that's just the natural progression. But what do you think?
Well, in my case, I felt a bear the moment I discovered what a bear was. The thing is that when I was in high school, I had a couple of gay friends, but they were twins also. I knew like, okay, I think I'm gay, but I'm not that kind of gay. So what am I supposed to be? I don't fit here fully. But yeah, eventually in some chat, I can't remember which one, some forum, I found bears and I was talking with someone that was trying to explain to me what the terms were. And I was explaining that I like these kind of guys. He was like, oh, you're a chaser. Okay, if you say so. Then at some point I discovered that, well, chaser is that you like them. But if you are one of them, well, you're a bear. And yes, since there I was like, yes, that's exactly that's exactly what I was looking for. That's exactly what I am. It feels so good to find your group.
We kind of coming back to that conversation before on representation, your poly and demisexual labels, you know, uh, representation matters. Like,
Hmm.
it's easy, I think, as adults to cast aspersions and say, well, obviously this is what I am, or you should have known sooner. But when you're a teenager, you don't fucking know. When
Yep.
I was in high school, right, it was in the early to late 2000s, Glee was the biggest queer representation on TV. And every time I saw Kurt Hummel, I was like, that's not what I like. That didn't feel like that's what I was, even if that's probably what I looked and sounded like as a 14-year-old teenager. But still, like, it wasn't truly a part of me. And it wasn't until someone was like, there is this concept called a bear, and there's actually a social group in the city that I was in that I was like, oh my god, like I didn't give a fuck about going to the clubs and being out with all the twinks, but suddenly going to this like bar around the corner, suddenly I felt nervous. Suddenly I was like, ooh, filled with all that like trepidation, like I was going to experience something wild for the first time. And I ended up loving it. So that experience of not seeing yourself or not seeing what you like or just a reference to yourself, it's important to see that representation. And I think what brings us honestly to the whole point of you being Mr. Bear Europe for 2025, like representing, I think, the best of us. Because as you say, you have been out there, you've been doing all of these things, going around. Like, I listen, I counted. I counted. You did nearly 20 different motherfucking Pride Bear events whilst you were Mr. Lisbon Bear Pride 2024. And now you got more on the docket, of course, as Mr. Bear Europe. And I want to put this to you here because I think, as you, like, we know because we talk, I would say you're very much the introverted kind of character,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I think that's a beautiful thing to have someone like yourself represented as our Mr. Bear Europe. But I want to ask this of you, as an introvert who has put yourself in the situation to go to so many of these events, for the introverted cubs, bears among us who want to be a part of this but feel that trepidation, what advice do you have for people to get them into the events?
Hmm. Uh, Take it slowly. Definitely the way I'm doing it this year. No, that's a very, very extreme case. But ideas, if you're going to an event, try to find if they have some guest group on Facebook, for example, or WhatsApp or Telegram. It's a good way to start meeting some people before you go there. That helps a lot. If it's the kind of event, and if it's your first event, I will suggest you to do that. Go to one event that has some kind of social gathering before, not just clubs thing, because it's really hard to talk with people at clubs. But if it's the kind of event that has welcome event at a bar, something more quiet, chill, or a tour of the city or stuff like that. Berscott, for example, the Saturday, I think they have several activities like to go to the pool or board games or stuff like that. That's a great way of starting to know people in an environment that is easier to navigate before going to clubs that is a lot harder. If you're like me, probably you get overwhelmed by the noise and the amount of people and all that. Also, once you are in that kind of place, try to locate some quiet area. And if you feel overwhelmed, go there immediately, take your time, don't push yourself, because that way you could get burned out and you get a bad experience and then you don't want to repeat again. You get like trauma from it, let's say. So yeah, take it easy, go slowly, try to meet people first or online or at the quiet events that you can navigate easier.
And on the subject of attending events, like, when you go to these shared spaces where, I don't necessarily know if like I'm not talking about like events that necessarily revolve around sex, but like leather conventions, spaces where like there's a lot of this kind of thing going on. We tend to dress a bit provocatively to show off either the gear that we own or our body because we're feeling particularly good in what we're wearing. And this sometimes invites unnecessary attention and unnecessary, grabbing, groping, touching, all that. Like there is still a big problem with consent in some of these spaces. How do you deal with that when you come across it?
You have to say no immediately, be very clear with it. And that's something I have an issue with because at the beginning, being an introvert, you feel pressured and you feel that it will be rude to say no. Say no immediately. It's easier for everyone. Leave it clear. They don't have the right to get over you if you don't consent.
100%. And as you say, putting up those barriers quick, fast. Sometimes I think people get real defensive. They're like, oh, well, I understand in your mind, maybe this was just an easy flirt or this was just a cheeky little whoever, however, whatever. But clearly this person didn't take it that way. And that's not something you need to internalize. That's something you just need to go, okay, understood. Thank you for letting me know. Apologies. And now we move on. And it doesn't have to be a big deal, but we can hold our boundaries firmly. So I appreciate that response.
It's something that, we need to have a bit of empathy of the other person because we don't know what's their situation, how they're feeling. Going back to what we were saying before about the introverts, imagine that is your first event and the experience you have is that someone immediately touches you without your consent. You may get the feeling that that's how it works and you will get in yourself and don't go to an event again for the fear of it happening again. So yeah, you have to be very conscious when you're looking for that kind of contact to get consent, to know the person you're going to interact with.
You heard it here first, folks. Mr. Bear Europe 2025 says consent is key. We're taking it right from the top. Thank you very much. But on that subject of the way in which some of us might share our bodies. You yourself have taken part in a couple of different projects that have highlighted and shown off your wonderful body. I believe they were the Men in Their Bodies series by Sir Rolf on Instagram and the Bear Studio by at Doug and Color, which I actually also took part in myself. Uh, what did it do for you to take part in these projects?
It helps a lot with the relationship you have with your body, to be honest. Like a lot of people tell me that I look good in photos, that I'm very photogenic and all that. I swear to you, when I look at myself in the mirror, I feel average, like the most average bear you can get. But when you trust a photographer and you let them do their thing, you see some photos that you like, it's empowering. You do feel sexy. You do feel good about yourself. It's like, okay, this is what people see. When people are telling me, oh, you look really good, this is what they are seeing, not what I'm seeing in the mirror. So it does help a lot. Is a boost to your confidence. And that you take that kind of pictures doesn't mean that you want to let your body be seen by everyone, like in a sexual way. It's simply, how will I say, a signal of, hey, I'm confident with my body. Hmm? I feel good with it. And hopefully people seeing bears doing that will think, okay, maybe I can get there too. Maybe I'm not confident about my body right now, but I could try experience like that. I could feel good about myself. And personally, regarding these two cases, I will invite everyone if they can, well, in the UK, I guess, or if they are visiting, to have the chance to participate in Men on Their Bodies, for example, just or with any other photographer that you see doing that. Talk with them online first. Make sure that you are comfortable with that person. If you can take a friend with you, usually a photographer wouldn't have a problem with that if you're taking someone you trust with you to the photo session. So make sure you find a photographer that doesn't have a problem with that. And enjoy the experience, feel comfortable in your body. Make sure that the photos stay private until you give consent to publish them. Of course, that's also something, for example, for that book, I didn't have a problem at all. It was like the first thing he told to me, like, don't worry, we are going to see the photos. Nothing that you don't want is going to be published. So that's the thing. Talk with the photographer, make sure it's someone you trust, go with someone to the session and try to feel comfortable there.
You competed in Mr. Lisbon Bear Pride 2024 and won, and then you won Mr. Bear Europe 2025. All of this began just a year ago. What do you think your younger self would make of this journey?
Well, my younger could be 1 year and a half ago, and I wouldn't believe it. I sent my application for Lisbon Bear Pride like a week before the deadline closed, something like that. And it was just because I wanted to cheer up my boyfriend. He was like everything down mood those days, and I knew he will be happy with that, and also to have a good time. We were going to have friends there, and I didn't even think about all the Mister thing behind. Like I didn't even know the circuits you have around Europe of Mr. Bears and all that. Before that, I think I saw Mr. Bear Ireland the previous year in Bear Scots, maybe. And during that event in Lisbon, Mr. Czechia was there. I didn't know much about all of that. I just participated because I wanted to have fun. I wanted people there to have fun themselves, like have a nice event. And after winning, the previous Mr. Bear Lisbon was like, okay, I'm going to add you to a European chat where we have all the misters and you're going to hear from them and all that. And then, they start inviting you like, oh, you should come and visit this place. We are doing a cool event and all that. And you start visiting one and then another, and you meet more people. And to be honest, most of them are lovely people. Like, I know some people believe that misters have like, don't know, they are full of themselves and all that. I have been very lucky because most of the misters this year has been amazing, like very friendly people, and I love all of them. And that's the problem. That's why I ended up going to so many places, because it's like you want to support them and you want to support the associations behind them doing those events. And when you realize you have gone to 20 places and stuff like that, but it's a way of showing respect and showing that the friendship you're making with them, you value it. And to meet people from all over the world, because, well, Europe in this case, because you learn a lot of stuff on that. I really like traveling because of that. And it's not just traveling and seeing, the typical monument and views and all that. It's like talking with the people that live there. You get experience from the bears and their local community that you don't get otherwise. That's why I enjoy that kind of bear events and talking with people. Even if I'm an introvert, I try to push myself and talk with people. And the good thing is that the sash kind of breaks the ice. Like usually it's people that comes to talk with you, and that kind of made it easier this year. And yeah, it was a very good experience.
And listen, I mentioned it, Tim mentioned it, you had talked about it. 20 at least places that you went to in 2024, more on the slate for this year. Baby, I need to ask you, where the fuck do you find the energy to the finances? Where did you pull all this from? How did you do it? I'm tired just thinking about like my feet. My feet hurt just thinking about it. Where did you find the energy?
That's my secret. I'm always tired. I don't know about the energy. Once you're there, you just push yourself. It ends up being a bit too much. I was talking with a mister the other day that he's finishing his year soon, and he was saying that I don't know how you went for a second year because I'm looking forward to finish this one. But yeah, it's, to be honest, being at those events with the people, it kind of, even if you're an introvert, it energizes you. Like, it's worth it. It's exhausting. Some of the times you were saying, how do we manage to pay for all these journeys? Sometimes we take flights at the most ridiculous times. And we also have like days off that are limited. So, for example, after the Mr. Bear Europe competition, we came back Monday morning to arrive in London at 10 and go directly to work. It is exhausting, and you have to do a lot of numbers to be able to do all of that. Thankfully, during COVID, I had a job where I could put as many hours as they could. They just wanted to put a lot of stuff out. And I managed to save a lot of money from those times. I was working from 9 in the morning to midnight. I don't recommend anyone to do that. I kind of fuck up the viewing when I can't focus properly since then. But yeah, right now my partner and I were doing 10 years together last year, and we wanted to do something special this year. We were planning already like to travel a lot, and it just clicked. Like, well, we were planning to travel anyway. This happened. Let's smash it all together and use that money for good. Instead of being just something very personal, it became something, well, that could help some other people and some bear communities too. So I feel it's money well spent. Even if this second year is gonna go into the savings a bit too much, but it's fine. Everything is planned, and the good thing is that my partner is the ADHD superpower. He can spend a whole day in front of the computer looking for the best prices, the best times, and all that. And if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be able to do half of the journeys we did. Like, I'm lucky with that. I have my personal travel agent that he manages to make it cheaper. Otherwise, it will be terrible.
And having traveled so many places and seen and been a part of so many international bear communities, what would you say are some of the greatest similarities and differences you've seen?
The similarities, one that I don't like, but I have to put it first: the drama. We have the drama everywhere, but not only that. There's lovely bears everywhere. Like, I felt very welcome everywhere. I want to believe that that's something we have in common everywhere. I want to believe. It's not always like that, because in some places people are a bit cliquey. And that's a shame. But personally, I don't know if it's because of the sash. Obviously, I have felt very welcome everywhere I went. And I do hope everyone gets experience like that. But that depends on ourselves too. How do we treat people when come and they are strangers? So I hope one of the things I can invite people to do is to be welcoming and friendly when they find a stranger at an event. In the end, that's what a bear is supposed to be, right? Because it's not just about the body, it's about the mentality. And I want to believe that we have that mentality as bears of protector, of welcoming guy that is there for the ones that are new and don't know where to go, and just being very hopeful and all that. But that's what I want to believe our community is.
I love that. So let me ask, as our Mr. Bear Europe 2025, what is your official mission and platform for your reign?
Well, what I have been trying to show in the campaign and being Lisbon with Pride and Mr. Lisbon with Pride and all that, I don't consider myself like a big activist or anything like that. I wouldn't know where to start. As I said about my image and also about my personality, I consider myself a very average bear. And what I want people to take from all of this is that, well, an average guy just got Mr. Bear Europe. Like any bear can make a bit of a difference. And I hope with this I can make a bit of a difference on other people. I already got people that messaged me saying that me just sharing my story, we didn't touch too much today on that, but I had some mental health issues in the past when I moved to London and all that. People told me that hearing about that helped them a lot. And that's what I expect of all of this, that people feel like, okay, you see what this guy is doing? I feel like I can do the same. Maybe I can do it better. And you know what? I believe you. Like, I want you to be here and I will support you to be better than me, please. Like that will be my goal, to see more people trying and making a small difference. Like, you can't believe how just talking with someone, give them a moment of your day, make a big difference in someone else. Yeah, that's my platform. Do you believe you're an average guy? You can be much more than that for so many others. Just give it a try. Always give it a try.
In saying that, you did a lot in your campaigns. You created memes. You even wrote a song to promote your entry. What advice do you have for anyone considering, entering into the pageant system?
Don't make a song. People will hate you. Yeah, it was very catchy apparently, and I have been hearing people quoting me that song for 2 months now. No, but it worked. It was fun. What I will say, my advice is be respectful of people's time. That's what I was trying to do with my campaign. Like, I don't like to spam people asking for votes, and that's something you have to do. Like, it's part of it. So I always try to at least make it fun, at least, enjoyable. Like, I'm gonna ask you for this, but at least I want to have a laugh today, to make your day a bit. And actually, I never ask for the vote for myself. I was always like, vote for your favorite two candidates. You can vote for two. So please, I never said vote for me. Just that kind of silly thing. But yeah, if you want to participate, be respectful of people's times. Do it for the right reasons. Like, enjoy it. Like, you have to make it enjoyable. I know some people that do it because they think that being a having a sash will make them be someone. Look, you can make your own path, but I don't believe that's the right way of seeing all of this. That literally makes it a pageant contest, like you were saying. And I want to believe that we can make it much more than that. A lot of the candidates we have this year have like so much experience as activists. They have done so much for the LGBT community. And I'm actually sad they didn't get this. Like, they deserved it so much. So make sure you're doing it for the right reasons, like for the people that are voting for you to enjoy it, not just for but fame. Is this even fame? Like, don't focus, don't see it that way. I think that if you come here to make friends, to meet people, to do a bit for the community, those will be the right reasons, and people will notice. That's the important part. People will notice, and that's how they are going to vote for you.
So you also mentioned before that you like to cook. What food gives you life, and what food brings you peace?
Life, salmon. I guess it's a very bare answer, but actually I love salmon a lot, especially smoked salmon. Like,
Mm.
feels so good. But I'm not fussy with food actually. Like, I love all kind of food, and just burgers and pizza make me happy, like really happy. But food that brings me peace, I will say sushi because of the way you eat it. Like it's a kind of calm thing. Well, it depends how you eat it. I guess that sometimes if you're very hungry, you go for it like crazy. But it kind of invites you to enjoy it and eat slowly and all that. It feels peaceful.
You also have developed several games on itch.io that feature cute characters that face deep stories with dark undertones. What inspires your approach to the story development?
Oh, those are very small mini games. But the coolest one we made was Endless Runner called Justice Bear Equinox. That is based on a story that my partner is writing. And well, I can't get too much into the details of that one. But yeah, I really like it because it's a dark story that we barely touch in the game, sadly. But we have some other mini games there that some time ago I participated in a program called Meditations. And the thing was making a small game that a launcher will give players a different game each day. And the games were just to reflect on something. And we made three. One of them was actually about accepting your body. I really like that one. And we had to make it in 24 hours. That was like very quick. And yeah, you were in front of a mirror and you had to like move away the clouds that were in front of your view and all that. And one thing I like is that we didn't have much time, but we managed to make a kind of randomizer for the character. So each time it was like a different race, a different gender. And there was even a very basic transsexual cliche that was someone with scars, but yet we didn't have time to make something much better. So, oh well, at least I hope that bit of representation helped a bit. And yeah, I will invite people to actually give a check to the games we have there. It's not much stuff, and they are very quick to play, but I hope in the future I will have time again to do some new stuff. But right now, I haven't touched Unity. That is the engine I use for that for a long time.
No, but like hearing that sense of, game stuff, it makes sense, working with Pokemon, and there's certainly just in you, the person, a sense of that cuteness, a sense of that fun that goes on. It makes perfect sense to me. Something I'd like to ask you about, though, before we wrap things up, on your personal website, you mentioned that as part of your Mr. Bear Europe that you are wanting to represent, you talk about the pledge for access. And I'd love it if you could share with the listeners a little bit more of what that's about.
So that's not my original idea. It's something that I built from last year. Bear Scots shared a post on Facebook about the latest event they were going to do. I think it was the Glasgow one. I'm not sure. And they just show very briefly a list of accessibility information of the venues where the event was going to take place. And it was just like a couple of lines. But I realized that was very helpful to so many people that it will be nice for other events to do something similar. So during the campaign for Mr. Rare Europe, I kind of did a video explaining what the idea was and put on my website a list of suggestions of the kind of stuff that you could share about your event, about your venues, that could help people. Because even if you can't find a venue that is completely accessible, because it's already hard enough to find venues for their events, it's even harder to find the perfect venue for everyone. I understand that. But if at least you give people warning in advance of, okay, you're going to find this many stairs, or we actually have ramps, or there's no lift, or we actually have an area where you can disconnect for a bit, even if it's just a smoke area or something like that. It's something that could help people a lot, and they could plan ahead, and maybe they could even say, look, if it has stairs, I won't be able to enter. Better I don't go there and I get disappointed and I just enjoy some other event or some other part of your event. People will probably be grateful for that. So I put that in my website and during the campaign, and some events actually reached to me saying like, okay, they like the idea and they will like to implement it. And Birds of Poland for the Mr. Bear Europe event actually did it immediately. When I saw it, I almost got emotional. Like, okay, that was really fast. I wasn't expecting people like to implement it like so well. And very recently, Reykjavik Bear also did a similar thing with a full page explaining like every single detail you can imagine, even things that didn't go through my mind. There's one of the venues has a balcony, and it was explaining if you have a vertigo, this is has views of the city and it's in the fourth floor, so please don't get close to it. Like the small things. They have a top of party on Saturday, I think it is. It also mentioned like, well, there's gonna be a bit of nudity, so if you feel shy about it or you don't want to see that, you're warned of it. That kind of thing, beyond what I could have imagined. And yeah, as part of my campaign, I said that, and I want to do it. As I won, I will have to organize the next Mr. Bear Europe in Lisbon. I would like to do some kind of award of or recognition to the events that during this year put that kind of information on their websites. So far, I already have two strong competitors. Let's see how it goes the rest of the year. The bar has been set pretty high.
So, to round all of this out, this incredible conversation that we've had about your life and the progress that you've been on and the things that you've done as the current reigning Mr. Bear Europe 2025, what is next for you?
So far, still a lot of year ahead, a lot of events to go. After that, I don't know. Let's see how things go. Definitely, I don't think I'm gonna go for another sash anytime soon. It's very tiring. What I do know is that my partner and me would like to create a bear organization in Portugal. Let's see how that goes. Maybe by the time this is out, we will have already news about that. But let's see. Because we would like to have it ready to organize next year the Mr. Bear Europe in Lisbon. And that's basically what we have in our mind right now, like our main focus. We want to make a massive event there, and everyone is welcome. It's a very nice city, very good food, just saying. So you're definitely invited to go there, and I hope to have many Misters visiting and a lot of good candidates. Let's see next year.
That's fantastic. Alex, I want to say a huge thank you for taking time out of your incredibly busy schedule to take time to talk to us. This was such a pleasure.
I always try to find time to talk with people. It's like one of the things I learned this year, like if you give people a bit of time, it's always worth it.
Now, where can our listeners find you online?
So I'm usually more active in Instagram. My handle is kerbearos, K-E-R, bear, O-S. And also my website, alexfortes.eu, where I have the calendar of places where I'm going. And I have other links there if you want to find me. But yeah, those are the two best places to find me.
Well, y'all, that's it for another wonderful week here on Thicc Radio. Now, please remember to like and subscribe, rate us 5 stars, and leave us a good review. If you liked this episode, the podcast, our guest, or just us in general, please share it with your friends and encourage them to tune in. You can find me on Instagram and BlueSky at stannnum.
And you can find me on Instagram at thiccmouse and Grommr at orpheus. You can also find us on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok at Thicc Radio, or visit our website at podpage.com/Thicc Radio. If you want to become a financial supporter of the show, you can donate through our PayPal account, and you can always email us at thiccradio@gmail.com. So until next time, bye, Fats.
Bye, Fats.
Bye, Fats.
Let's talk about it.
Thicc Radio is a Spotify podcast.
Artwork, media design, editing, and production by James Heinzen.
With original theme music by CYMK.